She paid for her seat. They tried to take it. The world watched her stand her ground. Maya Thompson stepped onto the plane with confidence, her designer heels clicking softly against the floor. She was flying home after one of the most important weeks of her life, pitching her startup to some of the biggest investors in the country. Her company, Glowell, combined wellness and technology to help women track their mental health through smart wearables. And it was working. People were paying attention. Investors had written checks, magazines had called. Maya was not just another young entrepreneur, she was a rising star. She wasn't rich when she started. In fact, she grew up in a small apartment in Chicago, raised by a single mom who worked 2 jobs. Money was tight, but dreams weren't. From an early age, Maya knew she wanted to build something that mattered, to help people feel good from the inside out. After college, she launched Glowell from her bedroom with nothing more than a laptop and a big idea. Now, 5 years later, she was flying back from a successful pitch meeting, ready to expand her team and bring her product to thousands more users. As she boarded the flight from Atlanta to San Francisco, Maya checked her boarding pass again. She had upgraded herself to a premium economy seat, this time not first class, but enough to stretch her legs and catch a few hours of rest before diving into work the next morning. She smiled as she found her row, 1 for B, the window seat. Her favorite. She settled in, placing her laptop bag under the seat in front of her and adjusting her scarf. She looked around. A man sat in 1 for IE, gave her a polite nod.
Oh, yeah.
On the other side, seat 1 for C was empty. Everything felt normal, peaceful, until someone approached. "Excuse me," a woman said, standing in front of Maya's seat. "This is my seat." Maya blinked. She glanced at her boarding pass again. Same number. She turned the screen toward the woman.
I
think there might be a mistake. My boarding pass says 1 for B." The woman didn't look at her phone. Instead, she frowned. No, I always fly first class. This must be a mistake on your end." Maya stayed calm. "Maybe we can check with the flight attendant?" she offered politely. Before the conversation could continue, the man sitting next to her stood up. "Here, you can take my seat," he said, addressing the woman directly. Maya's eyes widened. He didn't even ask her if that was okay. Just moved. "I appreciate the offer," Maya said gently, "but I'd like to stay in my seat. I paid for it." The man hesitated. The woman rolled her eyes. "This is ridiculous," she muttered. "You don't even belong in this section." Maya felt a chill run down her spine. That comment wasn't just rude, it was loaded. It wasn't about the seat anymore. It was about who she was. She took a deep breath. I'm sorry. If there's confusion, let me call a flight attendant so we can sort this out." But the woman wasn't interested in sorting it out. She kept insisting the seat was hers. She refused to show her boarding pass. She kept looking at Maya like she didn't belong, like she was taking something she didn't deserve. More passengers began to notice. Some looked away. Others watched closely. One pulled out a phone, and then the tension rose. "You're being disrespectful," the woman snapped. "I've been flying for years. You should know how this works." Maya's heart pounded, but she kept her voice steady. "I'm just trying to sit in the seat I paid for." The man beside her sat back down, clearly uncomfortable. Another passenger leaned forward. "Let's just get a flight attendant," he suggested. Maya nodded. She raised her hand to signal a crew member. Behind her, the woman muttered something else, something sharp and cutting, something racial. Maya didn't flinch. But she heard it, and so did others. Maya sat in her seat, back straight, eyes forward. She didn't want drama. She just wanted to fly home in peace. But now, she was stuck in a situation that was quickly spiraling out of control. The white woman standing over her kept insisting. This was her seat, even though Maya had shown her boarding pass twice. No one else had stepped in to help yet, just awkward silence and sideways glances from other passengers. Then, someone pulled out their phone. A young man 2 rows behind began recording. Another passenger whispered to her friend, "This is about to go viral." Maya could feel the energy in the cabin shift. People were watching, judging, waiting. The flight attendant finally arrived, looking tired but professional. "Is everything okay here?" she asked, scanning both women's faces. "This is my seat," the white woman said firmly, crossing her arms. "I always sit in one for B. There must be some mistake." Maya handed her phone to the flight attendant. "My seat assignment says 1 for B. I upgraded online yesterday." The flight attendant looked at both screens. "Can you show me your boarding pass, ma'am?" The woman hesitated for just a second too long. Then, with an annoyed sigh, she reached into her bag and pulled out a crumpled piece of paper. Her fingers flipped it open. "It says 1 for C." The flight attendant said calmly. "I must have mixed it up," the woman replied, but her tone wasn't apologetic, it was defensive. Still, she could have just moved. "This is ridiculous." Couldn't believe what she was hearing. "I paid for this seat," she said evenly. "I'm not trying to cause trouble. I just want to sit where I was assigned." But the woman wasn't done. "You're being rude," she snapped. "You even know how to act on a plane? You should be more respectful." That's when something inside Maya shifted. It wasn't just about the seat anymore. It was about respect. It's about dignity. It's about being told, once again, that she didn't belong even when she did. "You know what's rude?" Maya said, her voice calm but firm, making assumptions about people. "Before you even know them, not checking your own seat number, talking down to someone because they don't look like you." A few passengers nodded silently. One woman sitting across the aisle spoke up. "She's right," she said. "This isn't about race, but it kind of is." Tension in the cabin thickened. The white woman rolled her eyes. "Oh, please. Don't bring race into this." Maya gave her a long, measured look. "You already did." More murmurs spread through the cabin. Some people were clearly uncomfortable. Others were quietly rooting for Maya. A few were just stunned by how fast things had escalated. The flight attendant looked nervous. "Let's just de-escalate this, okay?" she said, glancing toward the front of the plane. "We still need to get ready for takeoff," but no one was moving. Maya stayed seated. The white woman stood there, arms crossed, refusing to walk back to her actual seat. The man beside Maya shifted uncomfortably. Then the pilot came on the intercom. "Ladies and gentlemen, we're experiencing a minor delay due to a passenger issue. Please remain seated while we resolve this." Minor delay? Maya almost laughed. This was turning into a full-blown scene. One of the passengers who had been recording the confrontation uploaded the video live. Within minutes, it was trending. Under the hashtag #pass the seat, someone commented. Black CEO gets disrespected mid-flight. She stands her ground. Another wrote, "She paid for her seat. Why are we even arguing?" And then the floodgates opened. Back on land, social media lit up. People saw the video. They saw Maya's calmness. They heard the white woman's entitlement. They reacted. Meanwhile, on board the plane, the crew was clearly unsure what to do next. 2 more flight attendants arrived. They whispered among themselves, then radioed the cockpit. Maya stayed quiet. She didn't want to make a scene. She didn't want attention. But she also wasn't going to let herself be pushed around. Today, not after everything she'd worked for. Suddenly, the captain's voice came on again. "Due to ongoing passenger concerns, we will be returning to the gate for further assistance. We apologize for the inconvenience." A wave of groans passed through the cabin. Some people were frustrated. Others were curious. Many were confused. Maya took a deep breath. She knew what was coming next. The plane reversed course. The engines hummed as the aircraft turned back toward the terminal. As they taxied back, Maya glanced out the window. The sun was beginning to set, casting a golden glow over the tarmac. It would have been beautiful if the moment hadn't felt so heavy. Behind her, the white woman muttered something under her breath. Maya didn't catch it, but she didn't need to. She knew exactly what it was. When the plane stopped at the gate, the door opened. A man in a crisp uniform stepped on border port security. All eyes turned toward him. He walked straight to the flight attendant, who pointed discreetly toward the woman still standing near Maya's seat. Maya watched as the security officer approached the woman. "Ma'am, can I see your boarding pass?" he asked politely. She handed it over without a word. He scanned it, then looked at Maya's. He exchanged a glance with the flight attendant. I'm going to need you to come with me, he said gently. The woman stiffened. Excuse me? There's been a complaint filed, he explained. We need to sort this out on the ground. Gasps. Murmurs. Some passengers leaned forward to watch. Others looked away, not wanting to get involved. Maya remained still. She didn't say anything. She didn't need to. The facts had spoken for themselves. As the woman was escorted off the plane, the cabin erupted. Some clapped. A few shouted, "Yes," or "Finally." Maya looked around, surprised by the reaction. She hadn't expected applause. She had only wanted to sit in her seat. The man beside her smiled. "You handled that well," he said. "Most people wouldn't have stood up like that." Maya gave him a small smile. "It wasn't about standing up," she said. "It was about standing my ground." Outside, the airport staff prepared for another round of delays. Inside, passengers began chatting excitedly. Phones buzzed non-stop. The video was blowing up. And Maya, she simply adjusted her scarf, closed her eyes, and tried to breathe. She had won the seat, but the battle for respect, that was far from over. The moment the white woman stepped off the plane, the mood on board shifted. Some passengers let out deep breaths, like they had been holding them for too long. Others whispered excitedly to their seatmates. A few clapped softly, not loudly enough to draw attention, but just enough to show support. Maya stayed seated, her hands resting on her lap, trying to steady her heartbeat. She didn't feel victorious or angry, just tired. Tired of having to prove she belonged. Tired of people assuming she was wrong before even listening. Tired of being seen as the problem when all she wanted was to sit in peace. The man beside her gave her a small nod. "You handled that really well," he said again, this time with more sincerity. "Thanks," Maya replied, forcing a smile. "I wasn't trying to make a scene." "I know," he said. "That's what made it powerful." She looked at him for a second, surprised by his words. He seemed like an average guy mid-30s, dressed in a simple button-down shirt and jeans. Maybe heading home after work. Not someone who usually got involved in things like this. Around them, other passengers were still buzzing. Phones lit up with notifications. People scrolled through social media, already seeing the video of what had just happened. The hashtag pass the seat was climbing fast. A young woman 2 rows behind leaned forward. "Excuse me," she said politely. "Are you the one from the video?" Maya turned toward her. "Yeah," she admitted with a sigh. "That was me. I just want to say thank you," the woman said. "You stood up for something bigger than a seat." Maya blinked. That wasn't something she had thought about. Until now. She'd been focused on fairness, on respect, but maybe, without realizing it, she had become part of something much larger. She gave the woman a grateful nod. "Thank you for saying that." Cabin slowly returned to normal, or as normal as it could be after such a dramatic exit. Flight attendants moved through the aisles, checking seatbelts, making sure everyone was ready for takeoff once again. The energy was different now. There was a quiet understanding between passengers, like they had witnessed something important outside. The sun dipped lower in the sky, casting a golden glow over the tarmac. The delay had pushed back their departure by nearly 2 hours, but no one seemed to mind too much. Not anymore. Then came the announcement. "Ladies and gentlemen," the captain's voice boomed over the intercom. "We apologize for the earlier disruption. We are now cleared for takeoff and will begin our journey shortly." There was light applause, mostly from those who had supported Maya during the confrontation. One passenger even gave a thumbs up. To her across the aisle, as the engines hummed louder and the plane began to move, Maya finally allowed herself to relax. She adjusted her scarf, pulled out her phone, and saw the notification. Asterisk, your video has gone viral. Asterisk, she opened it without thinking. There she was, calm, composed, standing her ground, while another woman tried to push her out of a seat she had paid for. The comments below were pouring in faster than she could read. Greater than she deserves that seat. And so much more. This is why we can't stay silent. CEO, or like Queen. They always try to move us out of our space. Proud of her for not backing down. Maya scrolled for a bit, then closed the app. She didn't. Need to see more? The message was clear. People saw what happened, and they cared. Her phone buzzed again. Text from her assistant. Asterisk, asterisk, hey. I just saw your video trending. Are you okay? Maya smiled faintly and typed back. Yeah, just claiming my space. Asterisk, asterisk. She leaned her head back against the headrest, letting the weight of the day settle around her. She wasn't upset. She wasn't shaken. She was just present. Aware of how often moments like these shaped her life, not because she asked for them, but because they kept happening. After takeoff, the lights dimmed slightly, and soft music played through the cabin. Speakers. Most passengers settled in for the flight. Some watched movies, others dozed off, but Maya couldn't sleep yet. Instead, she stared out the window, watching the city lights fade beneath them as the plane climbed higher into the sky. From up here, everything looked peaceful. No fights, no arguments, just stars above and lights below, but she knew better. Back on the ground, the world was messy, unfair, full of people who thought they deserved, more simply because of how they looked or where they came from. Full of people who still believed that someone like her, black, successful, unapologetic, didn't belong in certain spaces unless invited. Maya had spent years proving them wrong, and today was just another chapter in that ongoing battle. Still, she didn't feel defeated. She felt strong, stronger than ever, because she hadn't backed down. She had held her ground, and now thousands of people had seen it happen. The man beside her broke the silence. So, you're a CEO, huh? Maya turned to look at him. How'd you guess? He chuckled. Well, first, you carry yourself like you've got somewhere to be. Second, you handled that situation like a leader. Third, people online seem to think you're pretty important. She laughed softly. I run a wellness tech startup called Glowwell. We help women track mental health through smart wearables. It's awesome, he said. What made you start it? She paused for a moment, thinking. Growing up, I never saw tools that really spoke to women like me, especially black women. We deal with stress, anxiety, burnout, but nobody makes products that truly understand our experience. So I decided to build one. He nodded. That's powerful. It started small, she continued. Just me, working from my apartment, coding, designing, testing. Now we have a team, investors, users all over the country. That's incredible, he said. And your flying economy? She smirked. Premium economy. And only because I upgraded myself. Nobody handed me anything. I gave her a respectful nod. You should be proud. I am, she said. But sometimes it feels like I have to fight for every inch. He understood. Yeah, I get that. They sat in silence for a while, watching the clouds roll past outside. Then he asked, Do you think this video changes anything? Maya thought about it. Maybe, maybe not. But it starts a conversation, and that's what matters. He smiled. Well, if you ever need a good testimonial for your product tile, volunteer. You'll clearly handle pressure better than most CEOs I've met. She laughed again, this time with real warmth. I'll remember that. The flight continued smoothly. Meals were served. Drinks poured. Movies played. But Maya remained. Thoughtful. Replaying the events in her mind. She wasn't looking for fame or attention. She didn't want to be known as the seat girl forever. But if this moment reminded people that everyone deserves dignity, regardless of race or background, then it was worth it. And if it inspired even one young black girl watching the video to believe she belonged in any room, no matter how unwelcoming it seemed, then it was more than worth it. As the plane flew steadily toward San Francisco, Maya finally closed her eyes, letting the hum of the engines lull her into a light. Sleep, tomorrow, would bring new challenges, new battles. But tonight, she had claimed her space. On a plane, in business, in life, and no one, not even an entitled passenger, could take that away. By the time Maya landed in San Francisco, her phone was buzzing nonstop. She had turned it on airplane mode during the flight, but now, as she waited for her luggage, notifications poured in like waves crashing against the shore, fast, hard, and unrelenting. Her assistant called first. Maya. I don't even know where to start. Her voice was high-pitched with excitement and worry mixed together. You're everywhere. Maya smiled faintly as she pulled her suitcase off the carousel. I figured that might happen. No, seriously, her assistant continued. You trended all night. The video got over 1 million views already. People are calling you the black girl CEO who stood her ground. Some news sites picked it up too. Maya raised an eyebrow. That fast? Social media doesn't sleep, her assistant replied. People are mad about what happened. Maya sighed. She didn't want outrage or pity. She wanted fairness. But she knew once something went viral, it took on a life of its own. She unlocked her phone and opened Twitter. That one-word hashtag past the seat dash was still trending. Underneath it were thousands of comments, retweets, and videos replaying the moment she refused to give up her seat. Some messages were supportive, greater than she deserved that seat, and so much more. This is what happens when people think they can push us around, CEO, more like Queen of Composure. So proud of her. This is everyday life for us. Others were angrier. Greater than why does she always have to make everything about race? She could have just moved seats. Not a big deal. She wants equality, but acts like she's better than everyone else. Maya scrolled through them without reacting. She had learned long ago that not every voice needed to be heard. It's more just noise. As she walked out of the airport, the California sun hit her face. It felt warm, almost comforting after the cold. Tension on board the plane. She hailed a ride and leaned back in the car seat, letting the city blur past her eyes. She wasn't sure how this would affect her work. She had built Glowell carefully, brick by brick, with no shortcuts and no favors. She didn't want to be known as the angry black woman or the viral victim. She wanted people to remember her for her product, her mission, her vision. But maybe, just maybe, this moment could help her reach more people. Dash, 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 hash, 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 the morning after the next morning. Maya sat at her desk in the small office space Glowell rented near downtown San Francisco. Her team had grown from 3 to 10 in the last year, and today, they were buzzing with energy. You okay? Asked Aisha, her head of marketing, walking into the room with a coffee in each hand. Maya nodded. Yeah, just tired. Aisha handed her one of the cups. You handled yourself really well on that. Plain Maya chuckled. Didn't feel like a win at the time, but it was, Aisha insisted. People saw you stand your ground. They saw you stay calm, saw you prove that you belong wherever you choose to be. Maya sipped her coffee. I didn't do it for attention. I know, Aisha said, but sometimes the world needs a reminder. He sat in silence for a moment before Aisha added, also, donations to your startup are going up. Maya blinked. What? We posted a link on our social media after the video went viral. Said if you believe in standing your ground, support a woman who builds tools to help women stand strong, and people responded. Maya stared at her screen. The numbers were climbing fast. Hundreds of new signups. Dozens of emails from investors asking if they could get involved again. She shook her head in disbelief. I never thought my fight for a seat would turn into this. Aisha grinned. Sometimes, life gives you unexpected power. You just have to use it. Hash, 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 fallout begins. Meanwhile, across the country, the white woman who had tried to take Maya's seat was facing consequences. Her name had been uncovered within hours of the video going viral. Someone had recognized her from a tech conference and tagged her employer in a post. Within minutes, screenshots of the confrontation were being shared across LinkedIn, Reddit, and Instagram. Calls for accountability grew louder. Is this who we hire? One post read, she couldn't even check her own boarding pass. Another user commented, she treated a successful black woman like trash because of her skin color. Shouldn't that matter? Soon the company issued a statement saying they were reviewing the incident internally. It usually meant someone was getting fired or at least disciplined. Maya didn't celebrate. She didn't want revenge. But she did hope this would remind people that their actions online and offline had real consequences. Still, not everyone agreed. On a conservative talk show later that week, a host criticized Maya. "This is what happens when people play the race card," he said. Instead of resolving the issue peacefully, she turned it into a racial attack. His guest, another commentator, nodded. She made a mountain out of a molehill. All she had to do was switch seats. Maya watched the clip later and laughed out loud. Peacefully resolve it? While she called me rude and implied I didn't belong in upgraded seating, her team groaned. Ignorance is free speech, I guess. It's also exhausting, Maya said. # support from unexpected places. Not all the attention was negative. Later that day, Maya received an email from a major airline executive. "Greater than dear Ms. Thompson, we are deeply sorry for the experience. You endured onboard flight 473 as an airline committed to safety, respect, and inclusion. We are reviewing the situation thoroughly. Please accept our offer of lifetime elite status as a gesture of goodwill and appreciation for your grace under pressure. Greater than sincerely, named Chief Customer." Officer Maya stared at the screen. Lifetime elite status? Aisha nearly choked on her tea. "Are you serious?" Maya nodded. "Guess I'm flying fancy from now on." "It's wild," Aisha said. "They must be trying to avoid bad PR." Maya shrugged. "Or maybe they finally realized that treating people with dignity matters." Either way, she wasn't mad about it. The interview that changed everything 2 days after the incident. Maya agreed to speak with a travel news outlet that had reached out. Just a short interview, she told herself. No drama. The reporter was kind, professional, and clearly impressed by Maya's composure. "So, tell me," she asked, camera rolling, "how did you feel when that woman tried to take your seat?" Maya took a breath, honestly, frustrated. Not because she argued, but because she assumed I didn't belong there. Like I was taking something that wasn't mine. When in reality, I earned my place on that plane and in life. The reporter nodded. "Do you think this was about race?" Maya looked straight into the lens. It started as a seat dispute, but it became something deeper. Because she didn't question the man who offered his seat to her. She didn't doubt him, but she doubted me. Automatically, the reporter paused. "And what message do you hope people take from this?" Maya smiled slightly. "That we all deserve to sit where we've earned, no matter what we look like." The interview aired that evening. Within hours, it was shared thousands of times. People praised Maya for speaking truth without bitterness. Others called her inspiring and unshakable. One comment stood out to her. Greater than my daughter watched this and said, "Mom, I want to be like her when I grow up. Thank you." Maya read it twice. Then she saved it. Because that, right there, is the point. ###, the turning point. Over the next few weeks, Maya's inbox exploded. Investors reached out offering new funding opportunities. Retailers wanted to carry her smart wearables in stores. Universities invited her to speak at graduation ceremonies. Even a famous actress sent her a direct message. "Just saw your interview. So proud of you. Let's connect soon." Maya stared at the screen, stunned. She had admired this actress since college. She typed back, "Greater than thank you. I'd love to chat." Then she closed her laptop and leaned back in her chair. This wasn't what she had planned. She hadn't set out to become a symbol. But now, she understood that her journey, her success, her struggle, her refusal to be pushed aside, resonated with people, and maybe, just maybe, it gave her a bigger purpose. ### standing taller one afternoon. Maya met with her team to discuss the future of Glowell. "We've gotten a lot of attention lately," she began. "Some of it good, some of it not so much." They all nodded. "But I want to make sure we don't lose sight of why we started this," she continued. "We build products to help women, especially women of color, feel seen, supported, and strong." "That hasn't changed, and it won't," Aisha said firmly. Maya smiled. "Good, because now more people are listening." They spent the rest of the meeting planning new features, partnerships, and outreach programs. By the end of the day, The office was filled with laughter and energy. Maya stayed late, wrapping up emails and watching the sunset from the window. She thought about the woman who tried to take her seat. She wondered if she ever considered what she had done. She regretted it. She understood the impact of her words. Probably not. But Maya didn't need her apology. Only needed to know that she had held her ground and that others had seen it. A few months passed, but the moment on that plane never really faded. It stayed with Maya not as a burden, but as a reminder of how far she had come, and how much further there was still to go. She kept running Glowell with the same passion. She always had. The startup was growing faster than ever. No new hires, new partnerships, even a feature in Forbes. But what made her happiest wasn't the money or the headlines. It was the messages she started getting every day. Young black girls wrote to her. "Greater than. You showed me I can be anything I want. I used to think people like me didn't belong in fancy places, but you proved them wrong. My mom watched your interview and cried. She said you reminded her of who she used to dream of being." Maya read every message carefully. She replied when she could. And each time, she felt a little more sure that her journey was about more than just business. It was about showing up, standing tall, making space for others who had been told they didn't belong. ### own your seat one evening. While sitting at her desk, Maya got an idea. She had seen how powerful that moment on the plane had been, not just for her, but for so many others. People were talking about it weeks later. Teachers were using it in classrooms. Therapists were sharing it with clients. Parents were showing it to their kids. So she decided to do something with it. Not to chase fame or attention, but to turn pain into purpose that night. She posted a short video on Instagram. "I've been thinking a lot about that flight," she said, speaking directly to the camera, about how someone tried to make me feel small, about how I refused to let them, about how many of us face moments like that every single day, whether it's at work, at school, or even on a plane. She paused, then smiled softly. "So I'm starting something called #OwnYourSeat. It's not just about seats on planes. It's about claiming your space in life and business and the world. It's for anyone who has ever been told they don't belong and chose to sit down anyway." The response was immediate. Within hours, thousands of people began posting their own stories under the #.teachers shared photos of their desks with the caption, "This is my seat in education." Doctors posted selfies in scrubs. "This is my seat in medicine." Young women tagged their college acceptance letters. "This is my seat in the future." Even. Maya's team joined in. Aisha posted a picture of her keyboard and coffee mug. "This is my seat in tech. No one gave it to me. I earned it." Maya watched it all unfold with a full heart. This wasn't just a campaign anymore. It was a movement. As the movement grew, so did Maya's visibility. She was invited to speak at conferences, talk shows, and panels focused on diversity and leadership. Some wanted to hear about Glowell. Others wanted to know about the woman behind the viral moment. She agreed to a few interviews, carefully choosing the ones that felt meaningful. One morning, she found herself sitting across from a well-known TV host. "So, Maya," the host began, "you've become a symbol of standing your ground. What does that feel like?" Maya smiled. "Honestly, it's strange. I never set out to be a symbol. I just wanted to sit in peace on a plane." The audience chuckled. "But if people see me as someone who stands firm in who I am," she continued, "then I'll take that responsibility seriously." The host nodded. "And what would you say to the people who still think this was no big deal?" Maya leaned forward slightly. "To those people, I'd say this. Every time we allow disrespect to slide, we make it easier for it to happen again. Every time we stand up even in small ways, we make it harder for others to push us aside." The host looked impressed. Powerful words. Maya shrugged. But just honest ones. After the interview aired, Maya received another flood of messages. This time not just from young women, but from men too. "You helped me understand what real respect looks like. I'm raising 2 daughters. Your words hit home. You're changing minds without shouting." Maya, read them all. Then she saved a few in a special folder labeled, "Why I Keep Going." ###, A seat at the table. One of the biggest surprises came from the airline industry. After the incident, I had expected silence, or maybe a quick apology and nothing else. But instead, she got a call from a major airline executive. "We've been following your campaign," he said during the phone call. "We admire what you're doing, and we want to help." Maya listened carefully as he explained that the airline was launching a new initiative focused on inclusivity training for flight crews. "We want to make sure our staff knows how to handle situations like yours better," he said. "And we'd love for you to be involved." Maya thought about it for a minute. Then she said, "I'll do it. But only if this isn't just a PR move. Only if you're serious about change." He laughed. "We are. Trust me." So, over the next few months, Maya worked with the airline. To design part of the training, she shared her experience. She helped shape policies. She even recorded a short video explaining what passengers should expect when conflicts arise. It wasn't everything, but it was progress. Back on. The plane eventually, Maya had to fly again. She booked a flight to New York for a speaking event. As she boarded, she braced herself for stares, whispers, or maybe even awkward recognition. Instead, something beautiful happened as she walked down the aisle. Flight attendant smiled warmly and greeted her by name. "Welcome back, Ms. Thompson." "We're honored to have you on board," Maya blinked in surprise. Then, as she reached her seat, she saw a small note tucked into the pocket in front of her. It read, "Welcome aboard. You belong here, always." She looked around. No one was watching. But she knew someone had taken the time to write that for her. She smiled, folded the note, tucked it into her bag. Because that was the kind of power she had, now not the loud kind. Not the angry kind. The kind that made people pause, reflect, change. The legacy of a seat by the end of the year. Maya's campaign had gone global. Schools were using hashtag Own Your Seat in classrooms. Companies were adopting it as a motto. Even universities were printing it on graduation banners. And Maya kept leading Glowell, kept speaking truth, kept reminding people that dignity wasn't something you asked for. It was something you claimed. Sometimes with a voice. Sometimes with silence. And sometimes simply by sitting in the seat you paid for.